I'm not the type of person who's going to tell you that essential oils will cure your cancer or greens will cure your everyday ills. Make sure that you detox and eat clean. It's just, it's not, it's not how I think about things in the garden, and it's definitely, it's not how I go about researching my topics either. But one thing I definitely do believe in is the power of herbs. And I believe that because I've had some firsthand experience. I always thought that it was like some hippie voodoo magic that St. John's wort was gonna help with your depression until I got so stoned on St. John's wort that I literally like couldn't stand up. And then I thought, maybe there's something to this. So this is my story about my 3-day hangover and my St. John's wort high. The type of weirdo that I am makes a little bit of sense when you know my dad. A lot of my introduction to what's so exciting about gardening came from my dad just being super excited about free stuff and foraging. He's not the type of guy who's gonna go like picking through a dumpster, but if there is something that you can eat in the forest, he wants to get it, he wants to pick it. In my childhood, I spent lots of time going mushroom picking, and all of his family loves doing that stuff. He's an identical twin, and him and his brother, like classic identical twins, are just really badly behaved and constantly scheming. So they're always coming up with new businesses together. And one of their businesses is Canadian Wilderness Products, which is how they try to sell the random things they pick on the side of the road, in the woods, wherever. And one time they spotted a hillside covered in yellow flowers, and they were like, that is St. John's wort, and we have a connection for a herb distributor who would love to get, the 100, 200, 300 pounds of St. John's wort we can go pick off of this mountainside if only we go and do it. So being in high school, my dad would always hire me for cheap labor, and he told me to gather some of my friends, and my uncle got his kids and some of their friends, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go spend a day like digging up some stupid plant like in the middle of the summer. Like, I want to go to the beach, I want to tan, like I want to have a good time. So the solution was me and my friend who went decided, well, we'll wear bikini tops, we'll get a little bit of a tan while we also get some money so that we can have fun doing some other activities back in town. Get some popsicles at the beach. So everyone was all set. We're off we go in our bikinis, like into the St. John's wort, taller than our head, just, ripping bundles as we go. Gathering, filling up my dad's van with all the St. John's wort we can get. And we're going for about a half an hour. We're on our like second or third load into the van, and it's just, it's so hot out, and it's like, it feels so nice to just sit down. We have some snacks in the van, like, we should just have lunch, like, let's just all sit in the shade and have some lunch. And then, everyone else starts showing up, and they're all like, yeah, lunch in the shade, that's like a really good idea. Oh. And then we start telling jokes. Oh, and these jokes were so funny, we couldn't stop laughing. Like literally, we couldn't even tell more jokes. These jokes were so funny. We ended up spending about an hour and a half rolling on the ground laughing because it was so funny, snacking, doing nothing. And then things were just less funny, and we were tired, so we're like, you know what, like, screw the St. John's wort picking thing, let's go home. So we load up our cars, we go home, and, we've got all the St. John's wort, it's all good. Go to bed that night and woke up the next day with the worst headache. Like to this day, I have never had a migraine, but I can imagine what a migraine is, because this headache was so bad that I couldn't get out of bed. It was just like, it felt like, you know those headaches when you have to hold your head together because it hurts so much? It was one of those. And so I eventually get out of bed and I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling good. And my dad's like, oh yeah, like it feels like the sides of your head are pushing out. And he's like, I have that too. It's crazy. So, you know, day goes by, next day wake up, still have the exact same headache. And my dad's like, yeah, got this headache. You know, he's talking to his brother about all the St. John's wort they got. Oh, he's got this horrible headache too. Like, it must be some sort of thing, like some cold or something going around. Third day, still like holding our heads together. We're still dying. Phone up my friend that picked the St. John's wort with us. Oh yeah, headache, still got it. 3 days. 3 days for an hour and a half of giggles. That's the worst hangover I've ever had. You know, I've like drank too much and had like one of those like, oh, it was hard even the second day type hangovers, but never 3 days of pain. St. John's wort is a cruel, cruel mistress. So the advice when it comes to herbs is always be careful about how much you're taking, because you can take too much. You can have too much of a good thing. And as we were walking around with all of our exposed skin in this meadow of St. John's wort, we were literally just, you know, getting covered with the pollen, and it was absorbing in through our skin, and it got us very, very stoned. That was something I thought could never happen. I wasn't consuming St. John's wort. I wasn't taking a St. John's wort pill, and it still affected me so, so much. So from that day forward, I've always been very cautious when people say, oh, this is what a herb's for, and this is also how much of it you should take. And I've also believed a little bit more that maybe they can do something positive, because they can definitely do something negative. Be careful with the herbs that you use, and you know, maybe there is a little bit to all those things that people say, even when there hasn't been scientific studies to prove the truth of the facts and, you know, stuff that people have been doing for 1,000 years. Maybe they have some anecdotal evidence like I do to prove why they kept doing it. So obviously I've been making a lot of these like talking head videos lately, and things are just, not much is happening in the garden. So because of that, I don't really have much to show you, which is what I prefer. Obviously I can't walk you through a meadow of St. John's wort. All I can walk you through is a meadow of snow. So, you know, there probably will still be another month or so of these, but I am really excited to get back into the garden and be able to show you these things that I'm going to be doing with all the seeds that we're ordering. I want to show you, you know, the stuff when it comes up, give you the whole cycle of the garden. So please don't give up on me just because we're a boring talking head video. We will improve. Maybe just, you know, come check us out in a couple months if my face is boring, because even I find my face boring. So don't unsubscribe, and if you're here and you like my story and you actually would like to learn something about growing stuff for yourself, maybe not St. John's wort because it's a little bit of a weed, I grow something a little bit more nutritious and delicious, make sure to subscribe and join us, and we will see you guys again.